Well, a very, very happy Wednesday morning, everyone, and welcome to the John Kentera Show, live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Well, we got a marvelous show. News coming down just really in about the last half hour, 45 minutes. Padres holding a 9:30 press conference this morning at Petco Park to announce a 9-year contract extension with second-year center fielder Jackson Merrill. 9 years, $135 million. And by my math, that's going to be $15 million per year. Plus, they tacked on a club option for 2035. So the Padres could keep Jackson Merrill in San Diego through 2035. Very exciting news this morning. Very exciting news. We've got a big show planned. Let's face it, the Padres off to an incredible start. Franchise record 6-0. They go for a sweep today, the Cleveland Guardians at 110. Dylan Cease's going to be on the mound going against right-hander Ben Lively. Padres continue to play just out-of-sight baseball. There's not one thing you can criticize the Padre Ball Club for in these first 6 games. They've been absolutely almost perfect. And they're really making two pretty good teams in the Atlanta Braves and the Cleveland Guardians, quite frankly, look not very good. Not very good at all. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. We're going to get into Jurickson Profar getting dinged for an 80-game PED suspension. Get your thoughts on that. But really this morning, we're going to talk a lot about Jackson Merrill. Coming up here in just a few minutes, we're going to talk with longtime sports writer and author Jay Paris going to join us on the program. Very excited to talk with him, and we're going to talk to him about the Padres. We're going to talk about the Jackson Merrill signing. And Jay was on that trip to Japan to cover the Dodger Cubs series. So we're going to get his thoughts on what it was like being over Japan. And not only did he cover the games, but he was over there in plenty of time. I mean, he walked the streets of Japan, and he's going to tell you all the ins and outs of what it was like for an American to go over there and cover professional baseball. But it's all about Jackson Merrill. Again, 9:30 this morning, Petco Park. A.J. Preller, Jackson Merrill going to meet with the media. They're signing him to a 9-year contract extension, $135 million. Again, it'll take him through the 2034 season with a club option for 2035. And you think about Jackson Merrill, what an amazing season a year ago. I mean, here's a kid that showed up to spring training who was a shortstop. They go, well, we don't have a left fielder. They hadn't signed Profar at that time. So they put him out in left field the first couple, 2 to 3 days of workouts. They said, you know what? We don't have a center fielder either. Well, let's find out if this guy can play center field. And really, he played a Gold Glove style center field. But what he was able to do in the first half of the season was amazing because he was really, around baseball. Yeah, they knew he was one of the top prospects, but he hadn't done anything. He was a rookie trying to get his feet wet in the big leagues. He ends up being on the National League All-Star team. And believe me, he deserved it. It wasn't like a token placing on the All-Star team because they needed another body. He earned it. And you take a look. He finished second in the National League in Rookie of the Year voting. And I know Paul Skeens is what they call a generational player. And, he did this and that and set all kinds of records. The guy started out the year in the minor leagues, and he won the Rookie of the Year. I thought Jackson Merrill, everyday player, the numbers he put up, I thought he deserved it. Think about these numbers. Last year, he played in 156 games, 292 average, 31 doubles, 6 triples, 24 homers, 90 RBIs, an OPS of 826, and a WAR of 4.4. And I went back this morning after they announced this, and I wanted to see how many times he struck out because now even good players, they strike out 150 plus times a year. Jackson Merrill last year in 156 games struck out 101 times. He puts the ball in play. And I think he's even a better hitter now. He hit his first home run of the year last night, but he's off to a 400 start. Just marvelous. This is a great deal for the Padres. And I know people are going to say, wow, Jackson Merrill, he could have got a lot more. Yeah, he probably could have. But at the end of the day, the Padres are getting a guy for $15 million per year. They're getting a guy that was a homegrown product, a guy that wants to be a part of the Padre organization, and he gets guaranteed money. If he didn't sign, And, the Padres would have him for a total of 6 years. And after the third year, he'd be arbitration eligible. And if he continues to put up these numbers, he'll be making good coin in arbitration. But the Padres buy him out of the 3 arbitration years. He gets guaranteed money if he, hurts his knee or hurts his arm and can't play again. He's guaranteed money. So I think this is a good deal for both sides. I know a lot of people say, well, he's shortchanging himself. Think about this. He is not going to turn 22 until later this month. So even if the Padres pick up that option in 2035, and there's no reason to think they wouldn't, I mean, it's going to be a very affordable option. I mean, he's still going to be in his early 30s to go out and sign another nice contract. So I think both sides win here. So I want to get your opinion on that. We got so much to get to today. But this guy here, I'm really excited about having on. We were in constant contact while he was in Japan. And this guy, in some ways, I really idolize. And I'm going to tell you why. Because not only is he a big sports fan and a big, baseball fan, but he's one of these worldly guys. He's always getting on an airplane going somewhere. And not just because he's covering the event. He goes because he loves sports and he loves to, check things out. He's more worldly than I will ever be. But it's always a pleasure to welcome longtime sports writer, very well-respected sports writer and author, Jay Paris, to the program this morning. Mr. Paris, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing just fine, John. Thanks for the kind words. And wow, a big day in Padre history to cap off one of the most exciting weeks, really, in franchise history. It's jumping down there on a lot of different levels, and man, it's fun to see.
Well, it certainly is. And, just from the time that you've been covering the Padres in the last, 3 decades, this kid, I mean, we've always talked about, well, the Padres, they're not bringing guys up and they're not developing players. And, man, this guy just jumps off the chart.
He does, and really he almost has a chance to be the younger generation's Tony Gwynn. I know, we've seen Fernando come up as a youngster, but this is an actual homegrown Padre. And the way he plays the game, the way he respects the game, and his production, he's always the first guy at the ballpark, and that's hard to say. And he's usually the last guy to leave. And what oozes from him for me, John, is the ability, yes, but it's his caring about teammates. It's about the name on the front of the jersey. It's about how can I win a ball game today. And there's a lot of different ways to do it now, and Jackson can do that. But him and Fernando, it's thunder and lightning. I mean, those two guys at the top of the lineup, getting up, and the energy they bring, it's exciting. And it's also exciting to see the ownership, make that commitment to keep him around and really to be one of the 4 tops going into the considerable future with Manny and Tatis and Alexander and now Jackson. So that's a pretty good core to build around, and Padre fans are excited, and they should be.
Jay, over the years, we've seen a lot of guys that have started out as shortstops and, they've moved to center field. And, it's kind of, a lot of people say, well, that's an interchangeable position because of the athleticism it takes. But, there's still an adjustment. And, I mentioned before I brought you on how last year they were going to have him play left field. He was there for 2 or 3 days in left field. And they go, you know what, let's give this guy a shot in center because we don't really have a true center fielder. And, it was a seamless transition. I mean, I go back to last year, and I don't know if I can pinpoint one time where I saw him banana a baseball or, take a bad route. I mean, he hit the ground running and never let up.
He went from being a JAG, just a guy, to, ASG, All-Star Game. I mean, that doesn't happen at 21 years old, not at this level. And a lot of guys would have pouted about moving positions too, thinking they might, hurt their future earnings or hurt, their path to the big leagues. He says, "What time you want me here, and I'll be here 10 minutes early." He was raised by 2 elementary school teachers. I mean, this is the guy who was raised right, and he does the right thing. And that was probably one of the greatest Padre rookie seasons in franchise history, and that's going back a ways. But he looks like he's played center field his whole life. He's just one of those guys that is fluid, can glide to the ball, and he can beat you in so many different ways, with the speed and with the power. So, does everything right. I mean, a great example is during spring training, Coach, and you know this. The regulars get their work in. They're out of there by fifth inning, and usually on a golf course, an hour and a half later. He would stay when he would be taken out of games. He stays the whole game, and he watches the young guys, and he gives them, back slaps and attaboys, and I mean, he's engaged, is what I guess I'm trying to say, and it's more about the team than about him. And his autograph, it can change, but he will stay after and sign for all the kids and all the guys who are looking for autographs. Just a guy. It's really an easy decision for the Padres. The tough part is getting the player to agree to maybe take a team-friendly deal like he did. But he's happy, and like he says, he'll never spend all this money in 3 lifetimes. So the Padres have a real gem, and he's only going to get better. I mean, he's not a guy who's going to rest on that season last year. He's had a hit in every game. He's hitting 400, hitting home runs. Jackson Merrill, the stud.
The thing that I would say, I guess my only concern with him would be now he might go out and try to do too much to justify that contract.
That's true.
I don't know if that'll be the case, but he's one of those guys that's going to continue to push the envelope, and hopefully he doesn't go out there and, try to do even more. Just be Jackson Merrill for those 9 or 10 years as they pick up that club option. And those numbers that he put up last year, I mean, those are like funny numbers.
Right.
And I had said a week or so ago, just before the season got started, don't look at those numbers. Don't make any comparison. Don't make any predictions. I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. Just go out and play. And those numbers are going to be good at the end of the year. But if he goes out and tries to match those numbers from last year, it could throw you into a little bit of a tailspin. If you start looking up in the middle of June and where your numbers are compared to last year, now you start panicking a little bit. Just go out and do what he's doing. He's off to a great start right now, hitting 400, hit his first homer of the year last night.
Yeah, I think this situation, this lineup, the team he's on, leads to him not having to go play Superman. I mean, you got Manny Machado, you got Fernando Tatis, you got Bogart, you got all these other offensive weapons, offensive power. He doesn't have to carry a team, and I think he's smart enough to realize that. And I think the guys around him will remind him of that. He doesn't have really slumps. He does the little things, Coach, which you love. And if you watch him, there's an attention to detail at all times. So he could try to, go out and hit 500 and 6-run homers, but to date, that would be out of character for him. He's going to do what it takes to win a ball game, and that's really been the key to this start, Coach. I mean, this is if you just walked up, you would say, this is a well-coached team, taking extra bases. Ball barely hits the dirt. You're picking up an extra 90, moving the runner over. People want to say small ball. I say smart ball. I mean, this is smart baseball, clean baseball. But this is only one of the ways they can beat you. They can mash as well. They can hit the home runs. And my gosh, that starting pitching the first time through the rotation, you would take that through October. So I think this team is going to travel well, by meaning that speed doesn't take a day off. Baseball IQ doesn't take a day off. Playing for the team doesn't take a day off. If you can do that, and then, oh, by the way, have your superstars play like superstars, you're going to be in this thing till the end.
I mean, they're playing baseball, really kind of old school baseball,
right,
like you and I grew up with. And,
right,
that last night, Elias Diaz goes 0 for 3, but he has a key sacrifice bunt. They're stealing bases right and left. I mean, they've got 13 stolen bases in the first 6 games, but they're going first to third. Their ball's in the dirt. They're finding ways to get that 90 feet. They're doing everything. And like you said, power is going to come and go. You're going to get guys that get hot and they're going to drive the ball out of the yard, but speed never goes into a slump. And give A.J. Preller a lot of credit here. He has put together a team of athletes now, not just a bunch of guys that are up there trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark. And that's why they had so much success last year, is they cut down on their strikeouts. I mean, they struck out the least amount of any team in the National League last year, maybe in all of baseball, and they're back at it again. They're putting the ball in play.
I think, too, that really shows up, Coach, and they really flipped that number last year, was 1-run games. I mean, you do those little things, and before you know it, it's a big thing in a tight ball game. Now, 8-0, 7-0 like last night, or a rout, who doesn't notice as much. But that was how they expanded that lead. That's how they tacked on that lead, and by playing a little smart ball. So it's fun to watch right now. And I think we need to mention too, Mike Schultz. I mean, they're playing for this guy. I don't, they're buying into whatever he's selling, and he's selling a lot of it. And those are some big egos. Those are some big contracts, and it's not easy. As you know, you got these great players. You just pencil in the lineup and you sit down for 2.5 hours. That's not how it works. And really, he does his best work before the game. I mean, getting these guys to buy in, and getting these guys to play the selfish brand of baseball. That's not easy during this era, but he's pulling it off. So, it's always about the guys in between the foul lines, but Mike Schultz gets a lot of credit here, and he's changed that culture. It's a different vibe. Of course, that 2 years ago disaster was horrible, hard to watch, and the body language was bad, and they'd wave the white flag if they fell behind. You didn't see that last year when they went 43-19 down the stretch, and you certainly don't see it this year. I mean, there's something building down there, and it's all green shoots pointing upwards.
It's pretty amazing. The Dodgers are off to a 7-0 start. The Padres are off to a 6-0 start. The Giants are playing well. They're 4-1. Arizona's 3-2, and our poor buddy Black is 1-3 right now. But Jay, let's talk about the trip over to Japan. I mean, you were over there for a while. I mean, you went a little bit early, right?
Yeah, I went for a week, and it was even at my age, it was a trip of a lifetime. And I've been very blessed to do a lot of great things through sports, but I don't know if that's number one, but it's up there on a very short.
I think going with Rod Laver to the Australian Open, that might be number one, right?
That might be number one. We're sitting in the Royal Box. That's up there too.
And you were sitting next to a pretty lady too.
Yeah, I was. Anyway,
tell people who you sat next to in that box.
I see it was Posh and David Beckham and people like that for that one anyway. So, she was Spice and I was old, so we were Old Spice sitting next to each other. But Japan's off the charts, and I would recommend a visit there to anyone. They absolutely love baseball. You go to any open corner lot, there's kids playing ball. And yes, there's a plethora of Dodger hats. That's definitely Dodger country for right now. And they beat drums and they chant names, and it's more like a college football game than a baseball game, is how I would describe it. But when Shohei Ohtani got up, it was like an opera-like silence. I mean, people were in awe, and you hear oohs and ahs whenever he would swing. And it was neat that two Japanese pitchers for the first time ever in Major League Baseball were able to start the game. So that was great, and just the Japanese culture, and they're so nice, and they're so willing, and now I ate some stuff that I wasn't quite sure what I was eating, but there were some eels and stuff like that thrown in there, but that's okay. But it just shows how popular baseball is on a global scale, and how the MLB is growing that pie to make it even more popular. And while the baseball was great too, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that my dad was in Tokyo Bay 80 years ago, Old Navy. He was on the USS Colorado, which was tied up to the USS Missouri when they signed the surrender. So 80 years later, another Jack Paris got to go back to Tokyo, and somehow when they played that national anthem, a little dust got in my eyes, just sitting there and thinking about how the world has changed. I mean, 80 years ago, we were, dreaded enemies, and now here we are playing baseball in the Tokyo Dome, cheering Shohei Ohtani. It was such a revelation, and so heartfelt for me. It was a great trip, Coach. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. I got to mention this. Watching the game, I got up the first. I couldn't sleep. I don't know what the problem. I couldn't sleep the night of that first game. So I go, you know what? I'm gonna turn the TV on at 3:10, and I watched a good bulk of that first game. The second night, I had appointments that I had to sleep. But I don't know if it was the anxiety of the Major League Baseball season. I wanted to miss out, but I couldn't sleep. So I just turned the TV on. But my take was I kind of felt sorry for the Cubs a little bit because
Right.
it was like they were the Washington Nationals and the Dodgers were the Globetrotters. It was all about the Dodgers.
Yeah, it was, and that's saying something because the Cubs fan base, we know, but that's a big fan base and a hardy fan base, and they always show. But it was definitely the Dodgers show with the Roki Sasaki the second game, and Yamamoto, start throwing the opener, and Shohei, and the Cubs have a couple of Japanese players too, but it was definitely Shohei driven and Dodger driven, and people go, well, why would you open the season in Japan? They sold $40 million worth of merchandise, John. $40 million worth. That's not counting the game. That's not counting, the other revenue sources. So to show you how popular it is over there, a souvenir store would open at 9. They'd start lining up at 6 a.m. They can't get enough of it. They cannot get enough of it, and it just shows you how popular baseball is. And if anybody ever gets a chance to see a Japanese game, it's exciting now, and they don't. There's not a lot of downtime, and they love their players over there. And we got a buddy over there, Tyler Nevin. He's playing in Japan this year, and we've been keeping our eyes on him. But Japan is baseball crazy, and we can't really say it here anymore with the NFL, but there it really is their national pastime.
Yeah, I texted Phil last week and wished him good luck because now he's working in the White Sox front office. And
Right.
He goes, well, I'm in Japan. I'm watching Tyler's opener tonight. So
Good for him.
being a good dad. So we're going to try to get Phil on one of these days.
Oh,
I
good.
just wanted to wish him and Will Venable the best. Two great guys that you and I had the privilege of covering and getting to know.
Sure thing. You wish the best for him, and they'll turn it around. You know that worm turns always.
Absolutely. Hey, Jay, thanks so much as always, my friend. And the book signing go well?
Yeah, book signing real well. Went to Sega, the big video corporation, and they had a lot of books. And if I ever ran in trouble or there was a language barrier, and it happened, I would just pull up my picture standing next to Shohei Ohtani, and the doors started flinging open. I'll tell you that. They love their Ohtani over there. But thanks so much for having me on, Coach.
All right, Jay, be well. Always great to have Jay Paris, longtime sports writer, very well-respected sports writer, I might add. And, of course, an author. He's written several books, and he's written books on the Chargers and the Rams. And he was the first guy to get in on the ground floor on Ohtani when he first came with the Angels. So we'll always enjoy having Jay Paris on the program. Okay, let's get to the Padres now a little bit. Padres off to the best start in franchise history, 6-0. They've fired 3 shutouts, and man, they're just playing. I can't begin to tell you. And I mentioned this on Monday. You can't play any better than they're playing right now. They're doing, like Jay said, all the little things. And for a baseball purist like I am, I couldn't be happier. I mean, they're putting the ball in play. I mentioned Diaz's nice sacrifice bunt last night. And the Guardians look bad. I mean, I thought the Braves looked bad. The Guardians are looking as bad as the Braves. And Braves are having their problems. They got beat again last night by the Dodgers. Chris Sale was shutting them out, and then all of a sudden, boom, the Dodgers win the ball game last night 3-1. Mookie Betts another home run. But I mean, I can't begin to tell you how good the Padres are playing. I mean, if you haven't watched the games, they're 6-0. But if you watch the game, the way they're doing it, I mean, they're coming in and they're just beating the opponent. They're putting the opponent on their heels every night. Everything they need to do, they're doing. And of course, things are going to even out. But man, Atlanta looked like they weren't ready to start the year, and they got all kinds of problems. I don't know if you read it. Reynaldo Lopez, their opening day starter, or second day starter, he threw Friday night. He's having shoulder surgery. Profar gets suspended. We're going to get into that here shortly, and I'm sure there are people out there that want to comment on that. And I'm gonna lay out a scenario on Profar, and then you can give me your opinion. But man, the Padres just unbelievable. And then today, if you're just tuning in, didn't get the word, Jackson Merrill here in about 6 minutes are going to be holding a press conference at Petco Park. AJ Preller is going to announce a 9-year contract extension with Jackson Merrill for $135 million plus a club option in 2035. So a lot of things going on good for the Padres right now. We're going to go back, take a look at earlier in the week, starting Monday night. Jackson Merrill bobblehead night. They rolled in on a cold, wet, foggy night, 43,404. And I mentioned on the show Monday that there were going to be people going home ticked off. Well, they gave out bobbleheads to the first 40,000, so it looks like 3,404 people didn't get a Jackson Merrill bobblehead. Well, you know what? Over the next 9 or 10 seasons, I'm sure there are going to be several Jackson Merrill bobblehead nights, so you're probably going to get one. But the Padres in that first game against the Guardians beat them 7-2. They out hit them 12-8. Padres 4 for 8 with runners in scoring position that night. Cleveland 0 for 4. Kyle Hart, left-hander who last year went 13-3 in the KBO, earned his first big league win. He had pitched in the big leagues prior to with Boston and had no success. Not little, he had no success. 32 years of age, picks up his first major league win. Gavin Sheets, two-run doubles. Jason Hayward made a contribution, a sac fly in the second, an RBI double in the fifth. Kyle Hart, 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs. Both earned. They were both solo home runs, a walk, 4 strikeouts. Thought he threw the ball pretty well. I like his delivery. I think he's going to be okay. I think he's going to help this ball club. I liked him in spring training when I saw him. And, you know, again, I think he's just kind of getting his feet wet. I don't know if he's fully stretched out, but hey, you know what? He hung in there for 5 innings against a pretty good hitting ball club that, granted, the Braves or the Indian or Guardians, I can't even get the name right, are struggling right now. And in the bullpen, once again, getting the job done. Alec Jacob, an inning, couple of hits. Yuki Matsui struck out the side. Adrian Morahone, an inning, 1 hit, a strikeout. Wandy Peralta, 1-2-3 inning. Bullpen, what? Bullpen's given up 1 run in 24 innings. Are you kidding me? I mean, again, everything is smelling like a rose right now. If you're a Padre, a ball player, Padre fan, Padre front office employee. The other night, Fernando 2 for 5, an RBI. Arise finally got a hit. Monday night, 1 for 4. Manny was 3 for 5. Gavin Sheets, 3 for 3 that night, 2 doubles, 4 RBIs, 2 runs scored. Jason Hayward made a nice contribution. And then last night, Padres shut out Cleveland 7-0. They out hit them 10-2. Padres last night, though, were not good with runners in scoring position, only 2 for 14. But Michael King, I mean, you talk about a guy that was dealing. Remember, he couldn't get out of the 3rd inning, the opening day start against Atlanta last Thursday. He went out there last night and powered his way through 5 innings, 11 punch-outs, 7 of them on strike by fastballs. Man, the 2-seamer was working. The 4-seamer was working. His changeup was okay. He threw a couple good changeups. I don't think he was real happy with that. And his sweeper wasn't great. I mean, he was able to locate his fastball last night, and that's what really did the trick for him. I thought he was outstanding. I mean, he just powered through the Cleveland lineup, and they got some dudes that can hit. Then once again, they went to the bullpen. Jeremiah Estrada went out there, mowed him down. Yuki Matsui got himself in a little bit of trouble. 2 walks, but 2 strikeouts. They brought in Jason Adam to get him out of that mess. He won an inning in the 3rd, did hit a batter last night with a couple of punch-outs. And then how about this? Omar Cruz. Now, a lot of you don't know about Omar Cruz. Omar Cruz was in the Padre organization, and he was one of the guys that was sent to Pittsburgh in the Joe Musgrove deal. And the Padres got him back. Left-hander, made his major league debut. He'd been sitting down in that bullpen since opening day, waiting to get an opportunity. And he came in last night, and man, he was nails. A 1-2-3 ninth inning, non-save situation. But a 1-2-3 ninth inning, first batter he faced, he struck out. His stuff looked good. And again, he's a young kid getting an opportunity, but man, he got an arm. That was a good get. And, you know, we're talking about Mike Schill. We got to give A.J. Preller a lot of credit. A.J., man, how about Gavin Sheets? I told you Gavin Sheets. I thought Gavin Sheets could be a good player for the Padres. I told you that. I told you that before he ever showed up in training camp because I watched the guy. He just needed to to change some things. Number one, he needed to get out of Chicago. And number two, he needed to try not to do too much. And now, like I mentioned Monday, he's using the entire field. He's not trying to be pull happy, and you saw that Monday night again. He hits the ball to right one time, he hits it to left the next time. He's using the entire field and really working the middle of the diamond. So we got to give A.J. Preller a lot of credit, man. And then this morning, announcing that Jackson Merrill's going to be here for another decade. That's awesome. We got Fernando playing great. He stole his fourth base last night. Stay healthy, Fernando. Stay healthy. Made that great sliding catch out in right field. Man, doing a little bit of everything. I mean, last night Fernando was 0 for 2 with 2 walks, but he had a sac fly, scored a run, and drove in 2 runs last night. And as I mentioned, stole his fourth base. The guy went 0 for last night and helped the ball club win. That's the type of ball player he can be. I remember as a kid here, and Willie Mays said, you could go 0 for 4, but you can help your ball club win a game. Well, Fernando went 0 for 2 last night, and he helped his team win a game. Last night, offensively, Rise 1 for 5. He's hitting 087. Think about that. The Padres are 6-0, and Luis Rise is hitting 087 right now. But right now, Fernando's hitting 409. Machado's hitting 381. Bogart's 278. Jackson Merrill 400 right now. I mean, those guys are getting the job done. And we know at some point in time, Luis Rise is going to get rolling and really get it rolling. But Padres, man, third shutout. That's damn good stuff. This team is getting the job done in a big way right now. The thing that I'm loving, and they're taking advantage of the rule where you can only go over to first base and try to pick a guy off twice. They're pushing the envelope right now, and I love it. And you're seeing some other teams doing what the Padres are doing, but the Padres are doing it. And the other thing, Manny's got 3 stolen bases. Bogarts has got 3 stolen bases. Those guys are over 30 years of age. I start getting a little worried, especially with the injury history. Manny doesn't come out in many games, and he came out with that cramp last Saturday, but he was back in the lineup on Sunday. I don't know. I just worry when you run, you're putting your body in jeopardy. A guy like Fernando, even though he's been injury prone, he's younger, he can bounce back. But man, to see Manny doing what he's doing, Bogart's doing what he's doing, keep it up, man. Injuries are going to happen. I mean, you can get hurt in the shower. See what the story on Freddie Freeman? He got hurt that surgically repaired ankle in the shower the other day. I don't know if he's going to play today for the Dodgers. They're wrapping up their series against Atlanta. Man, Atlanta can't get back home soon enough. Everything's gone wrong for them at this point in time. But the Padres stolen 3 bases so far. Okay, final game today, 110. The ballpark's going to be humming. Oh, it's going to be a beautiful day out there. 110, right-hander Ben Lively going against right-hander Dylan Cease, making his second start. Cease couldn't get out of the 5th inning, his first start. But you know what? I think he'll be a lot better today. Padres after today will have a day off tomorrow, and then they'll open up a series against the Chicago Cubs. Now, remember, the games in Chicago, all 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 11:20 start times. And then the Padres on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday will be in Sacramento to take on the A's. Be interesting to see that ballpark. I heard the clubhouse in Sacramento is really good, but the field still looks like a minor league field, minor league ballpark, and you would expect that. So we'll keep our eye on that. Just another quick note, Tyler Wade, who helped his ball club a year ago, he cleared waivers and accepted an outright assignment to El Paso. So he's reporting down to El Paso in AAA. And again, I want to remind everyone on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the start times in Chicago are 11:20. So that's kind of good that all 3 days are the same time so people don't miss the ball game. Hey, I want to get to your questions. We're going to get into a little bit of talk on Mr. Profar. And I'm going to do that, but I just want to real quickly give you the National League standings. Right now, Dodgers 7-0. They're just playing incredible baseball like the Padres. So Dodgers 7-0, Padres 6-0. Giants, I think, playing very good baseball right now. Bob Melvin has got that team playing very well. They're sitting at 4-1. Arizona's 3-2, and Colorado's 1-3. But we got a long ways to go. But man, just keep pushing your team over the 500 mark. Let's get to be about 15 games over before the All-Star break. I picked them to win 85 games, and right now that's not looking. It looks like it's going to be a little bit light, but you never know. Hopefully it is. I hope they win 95 games. I want to get into Profar. I think all of you would agree. We're saddened by this. Because we all, I think, like Jurickson Profar. I enjoyed his smile, his enthusiasm, his showing up every day to play and play hard. I think he resonated with the fans of San Diego very well. By all accord, an incredible teammate. But then, when I see a guy get suspended for PEDs, how good a teammate are you? And, we talked about Fernando, and I know a lot of people thought I was too hard on Fernando, but he hurt the ball club. And, that's been passed. He hasn't, failed a PED test since then. But I was hard on him because we all lived and breathed Fernando Tatis Jr., and all of a sudden he's trying to come back from injury, and we find out, he gets dinged for PEDs. And that's not being a good teammate. That's not being a good guy with your organization. And, I heard Mike Schultz's comments the other night when they stuck a mic in his face. He goes, "Hey, I love Jurickson Profar as much now as I did an hour ago." I get that. Jurickson Profar said he denied doing anything that he was aware of. He goes, "I would never do anything like that." Well, we've heard that before. At the end of the day, he gets dinged for 80 games. And now, without a doubt, human nature, we got to wonder about last year. And, all off season when he wasn't getting signed, I said the Padres can't bring him back. They can't afford him. And he's probably never going to do what he did in San Diego in 2024. He'll probably never do it again. It's a 245 career hitter. He hit 280, 24 bombs. And I'm going to share with you some numbers. And I'm not trying to throw Jurickson Profar under the bus by any stretch of the imagination. He did a good job of that himself. But where do you stand on this? Do you think last year was a fraud? And he'll say, "Well, I took 8 drug tests last year." Now, let me tell you something. I don't know a whole lot about steroids or PEDs. I really don't. I took some steroids when I was on a medical condition, but I don't know anything about, sticking a needle in my rear end and injecting myself like we've heard over the years. But I know that there's a masking agent, and guys do what they call cycles. And a lot of times they roll the dice. And there are a lot of players from a lot of different countries that have done a lot of different things, and we know about it over the years. But I'm gonna give you some numbers, and I'll let you make your decision. I'm disappointed. I'd be really more disappointed if he was in a Padre uniform, and I feel bad for the Braves. And I'll tell you in a minute what I think the Braves should do or what should be allowed to happen. But suspended 80 games for performance-enhancing drugs. He'll also be ineligible to participate in the playoffs. He signed that deal, 3 years, $42 million. Now I'm gonna backtrack here a little bit. Now I want you to stay with me. March 23rd, 2023, Profar signed a 1-year deal with Colorado. That was after he opted out of his deal with the Padres. Probably should have stayed in that original deal. It was pretty good. But at the end of the day, the Braves are making up for him opting out of that deal a couple of years ago. But he signed with Colorado, 1-year deal for $7.75 million. He wasn't very good. In 2023, 111 games, he ended up hitting 236, 316 on base percentage, 364 slug, and 8 homers and 39 RBIs. Not a good year for Jurickson Profar. He ended up getting released in August of that year by the Rockies, August 27th. And I said on my radio show, oh, well, the Padres will sign him. Well, they did. They signed him right away. He signed on September 1st. He signed a minor league contract, played 4 games in El Paso. They brought him up on September 8th, purchased his contract, added him to the roster. He played 14 games at 295 in 44 at-bats, a homer, 7 RBIs. Then the Padres re-signed him. A 1-year deal, $1 million plus a $1.5 million incentives a year ago, and he had by far the best year of his career. Now, let me share those numbers with you on what he did a year ago. Career high, 280 average, career high, 24 homers, career high in RBIs of 85, career high in on-base percentage of 380, career high on OPS at 839. Okay, career highs across the board last year. His career average, even after last year, 245. His career on base percentage, 331. Career OPS, 725. And then, of course, last year he was a starting outfielder in the National League All-Star team. Atlanta signs him 3 years, $42 million. Now, I also want to go back and track his first 3 years in San Diego. His first year was 2020. He was hurt, played in 56 games, hit 278, with 7 homers, 25 RBIs. 2021, 137 games, 227, 4 homers. Think about that. 227 average, hit 4 homers that year with 33 RBIs. And then last year, 152 games, 243 average, or not last year, but in 2022, 243 average, 15 homers, 58 RBIs. He also whacked 56 doubles. And I guess the question I would ask you right now, do you think Jurickson Profar was using performance-enhancing drugs in the 2024 season and just didn't get caught? I'm asking you that question. Because I think it brings up the question, doesn't it? What do you think? Did he get this contract with the Atlanta Braves under false pretenses? See, I think Major League Baseball should have a rule. If a player gets suspended, at least in the first year of his contract, okay, he's played, not even 5 games with the Atlanta Braves. And they signed him off of what he did last year in San Diego. In the first year of his contract, any player in the first year of their contract, especially with a new organization, if they get dinged for PEDs, I think you got to be able to void the contract. In fact, some people may say you should be able to void the contract anytime a guy does get dinged for PEDs. Where do you stand on that? I think the Atlanta Braves should be able to get out of that contract. I don't know what you think, but that'd be my opinion. I think he got it under false pretenses. I don't know if he was on the juice last year. I mean, he worked out, and there are some things you got to look at here. I mean, his workout partner in the offseason the last few years has been Fernando Tatis Jr. And I'm not implicating Fernando in any way, shape, or form. He already went down that pipe. Okay, but he works out with him, and maybe Jurickson said, "Man, I got to do something here. I want to make some money." He may not have even talked to Fernando. It's just kind of maybe coincidence that they've been workout partners, and both guys have suffered a PED suspension. And I don't want this to be about Fernando, and I really don't want to bring up old stuff. But it's part of history. Look in Wikipedia. And he has worked out with them the last several years and with Fernando Tatis Sr. But I think the Atlanta Braves, in my opinion, they should be able to avoid that contract. And I'm sure that's not the case. I'm sure the Major League Baseball Players Association would back him up, but I don't really think you have a leg to stand on. But that's the way it goes. Somebody said, well, the Atlanta Braves didn't do their homework. How are you going to find out if a guy's on PEDs or not, other than just eyeballing it and think, oh, you know what? I wonder if this guy's juicing. That's not fair. That's not fair. But, out for 80 games plus the playoffs if the Braves get to the playoffs. Heck, the Braves right now are just trying to win a damn game. So give me your opinion on that. I want to get your thoughts on where you stand with that. Okay, let's get to some questions. I'm sure everybody's got questions. Parada Studios. Oh man, thank you very much. That's very much appreciated. That's super for Benjamin in Heidelberg. What are your predictions for the Chicago Cubs series? Well, I think it's going to be a good series. Again, is the wind going to be blowing in or is it going to be blowing out? Uh, I think the Padres, you take a look at who's probably going to be pitching in that series. You're probably going to get Randy Vasquez, Nick Pivetta, Kyle Hart. I think Padres can win 2 out of 3. I don't see them sweeping the Cubs at the friendly confines. But I think Padres are going to have a good road trip. I think they get 2 out of 3, and they probably get at least 2 out of 3 up in Sacramento against our old buddy Mark Kotze and the A's. So you have a 4-2 road trip. You sweep today, you're 7-0. You come back 11-2. I'll take that. I'll take that any day of the week. At some point in time, the Dodgers are going to have to lose a stinking game. Crying out loud, man. Everything's going right for the Dodgers. I mean, it's been amazing. I mean, both teams have been flat out amazing. And let's not sleep on the Giants. They're off to a nice start, 4-1. Rattlebacks over there in Arizona sitting at 3-2 right now. But Parada, thank you very, very much. I very much appreciate that. Super. I haven't looked at the Cub matchups. I saw Justin Steele pitch yesterday. I would imagine the Padres are going to get Shota Imanaga, and he's a tough customer, that guy. Normally, the sudden spike in production after years of being terrible and coming after he worked out with known user Tatis and his dad, the players, I'm sure, have a pretty good idea. I would imagine so. I would imagine so. And maybe the Padres did. Maybe the Padres couldn't really offer him a they couldn't pay what he was looking for. So, Norm, I'm right with you. I thought, and there are other ball players, not in the last couple of years, but there have been some guys in Padre history that I would probably question when you look at the bulk of their career, and you look at maybe a 2 or 3 year period. I go, wow, that guy must have had a good offseason workout program. But Norm, I would imagine some of the players knew what was going on. These guys, they know what's going on in their clubhouse. There's no doubt about that. I agree with you. Norm, thank you very much. Very much appreciate that. And we'll continue to take your comments. Boy, I'll tell you what, this deal with Jackson Merrill, too good to be true. Richard, good morning, coach from Dallas, Texas Texas. Go Padres. Absolutely. And speaking of that, why don't we have a little roll call this morning? Hey, weigh in where you're from. If you're watching the show, just tell me where you're from. If you got a question, great. But I wouldn't mind a little bit of a roll call. I want to find out how far we're reaching right now. And remember, I want everyone out there to please subscribe to the channel and like it. Send your questions in. But Greasy, North County native coach, love it. North County, man, gotta love it. Norm Lee in Hawaii, love that. How about that? Remember when the Padres were the Hawaii Islanders once upon a time? Carlos, Bakersfield, that's a good baseball town. El Gorgie, Southeast San Diego. All right, good stuff. Mike, tuning in from H-Town. Go Pods. Very good. Keep it rolling. Let's take that roll call today. Norm Lee. Why would Merrill's agent go for a deal that arguably could cost his client hundreds of millions of dollars in 5 years? Well, because guaranteed. How about if you blow out your knee? How about if you blow out your shoulder and can't play again? You got guaranteed money. And not only getting the guaranteed money, you put that in the bank, you invest it, you're going to make money. I think a lot of people are going to look at that and go, oh, man, the Padres got a steal. See, I think the Padres, if he can never stay on the field for an entire season, I think the Padres got a steal with Fernando's contract when they signed him, especially when you look at contracts some of these other guys are getting. So a lot of people are going to point the finger at Merrill's agent, but at the end of the day, Merrill's agent had to sign off on this. And Merrill had to sign off on it more than anything else. I mean, the thing you got to understand, and I'm still a certified baseball agent. I send in my money every year to keep my certification. Uh, if I wanted to represent major league players, I would have to go back to New York and take another test. But I'm eligible. Like, if you got a son that's coming out for the draft and you're looking for an agent, I could be your guy. I can represent amateurs and I can represent minor league free agents and get them signed. And at the end of the day, I could get major league guys signed, wink, wink. But I'd have to go back and take a test. When I got my certification, when I was working for John Boggs, I went back to New York and actually took a test. And it's not difficult. You just got to have been around the block. But at the end of the day, people have to understand the agent works for the player. The player doesn't work for the agent. And the player has to sign off on this. So Jackson Merrill signed off on it. And Jay Paris brought up a really good point earlier. His mom and dad are school teachers. And this agent will have a financial guy. They will invest this money as he gets it. It averages out to be $15 million a year. I don't know if they're going to give him some bonus money or how that's going to work. We'll probably find out later today because the press conference is still going on right now at Petco Park. But if you got somebody, a good financial guy, you're gonna make money. And you're gonna get that money earlier in your career. Again, you'd have him for 6 years, and then he'd become a free agent. But after the third year, going into years 4, 5, and 6, the arbitration years, that's when it was going to start to escalate. That's what the Padres wanted to avoid. The thing that's amazing to me, I want to see that club option for the 10th year because it's got to be more than $15 million. I would certainly think. But Norma, thank you very much for that question. I appreciate that a great deal. Joe's stuff. I know it's early in season, but have you changed your take on Dodgers running away with the division? Hard to say. I mean, the Dodgers just keep running guys out there. I mean, last night they had Dustin May. There's no doubt the Dodgers are deeper in pitching, and they've got more experience in the bullpen than we have. We got some good young guys, but they keep bringing these guys out of the bullpen that have been around. I watched Tanner Scott last night, who's gotten off to a really shaky start, who we acquired last year from Miami. I mean, they said he's been working through some things, kind of lost his fastball. Last night looked good. 3 up, 3 down, 9th inning to pick up a save last night. But, once we get to about the 50 game mark, we're going to have a better idea. I got to look up. I don't think the Padres play the Dodgers till like June. How can that be? I got to look at that. I haven't looked at the schedule. I've just been kind of going series by series. But I know after today, the Padres play the games against the Cubs, the A's. Then they come home and they got the Rockies. And then they got the Cubs again. They're going to be done with the Cubs here by in 2 weeks. They're going to be done with them. But I think it's too early to tell. But, man, Padres are playing great. And, again, just get into the postseason. Just get into the postseason. Neil, if I had any talent, Coach, would you be my agent? Absolutely. Absolutely. I got one young man in the Reds organization, a left-handed pitcher, and got a couple other guys that I work with. One is playing in Mexico. Another one I'm trying to get signed. He got released by the Giants. I'm trying to help him get re-signed. He may end up having to go to independent ball because, the new rules they have, they're limited on how many guys can sign with an organization. This guy would be a good sign. Former high-round pick of the Giants, got a lot of money. And he just hadn't been able to find a new home. Let's get to Coach's mailbag. Take a look at that. Steve Tejas. Oh, man, one of my great teammates. Coach, glad to see you back. This is your friend Steve Tejas. Padres playing smart baseball, man. Steve Tejas, we played Little League together. We played high school together. We played 2 years at junior college. He went up to Fresno State, lives up in the Central California area, great family. Couple of brothers, couple of sisters, and, man, just great people. Great people. Steve, I appreciate you weighing in on that. And again, just a little bit of a roll call. Where are you at? Are you watching the show today? Listening to the show? Give me a roll call here. Okay, let's keep rolling. What else we got on Coach's Mailbag today? The Padre seems as soon as the season starts, they got locked in and are ready to play. Good to see you, Coach. Eric, thank you very much. Padres came out. I thought maybe they had slow played spring training a little bit, but I guess they did it the right way. Manny had an awful spring swinging the bat, but man, day one, all of a sudden, boom. He looks like he's off to a great start, hitting 381 right now. And keep it up, Manny. I don't expect him to hit 381 all year, but, it's better than 181 because we've seen that in April and May out of Manny before. But now the Padres are playing great. Man, the Braves are just awful. I watched the Braves the other day when I was at the ballpark on Sunday. And a lot of it had to do with Nick Pivetta. When a team's not swinging the bat, they look lethargic and they look bad. But they had no bounce on defense. I'm watching the Dodger series. They don't look good. And then the Guardians, oh, my God. How bad did they look last night? I mean, they were just awful. Just absolutely awful. Not being able to field the ball, just Jose Ramirez drops an infield pop-up. Lucky for them, it was an infield fly. But it's a routine pop-up to the infield. Here's one of the best players in baseball dropping, and everybody's human. But, man, he dropped an infield pop-up last night. It was just terrible. Okay. The other news to get to. Now, I don't know how this came about. But Magoon Gwath announced yesterday he's coming back to San Diego State. He had phone calls with Kentucky. He had phone calls with Kansas. But he's coming back to San Diego State. Unless he decides to enter the NBA draft. Well, if he wants to play in the G League or if he wants to play in Turkey or, some foreign country next year, come back to San Diego State. Why do you think he's coming back to San Diego State? I think I know why. I think somebody ponied up some cash. What do you think? I got to believe they gave him a good NIL deal. That has to be. Because if Kentucky wanted him, Kansas wanted him, maybe they weren't willing to pony up the money that the Aztecs ponied up. I'm just saying. What do you think? Give me your thoughts on that. Okay, we're going to get out of here. Great show today. Thanks to Jay Paris. Again, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the program. And again, we're on Monday, Wednesday, Friday now, 9 a.m. Friday, if everything works its way out, we're going to have Scott Miller, National Baseball writer, join us. So we're going to talk about what's going on with the Padres, National League West, look at around other parts of Major League Baseball. And again, please send your comments. Want to hear from you. But the big news in San Diego today, Jackson Merrill signing with the Padres, 9 years, $135 million, and plus a club option for 2035. He's under contract 2034, but then the Padres can pick up a club option in 2035. And he won't turn 22 until later this month. Nothing but good things. Padres keep it rolling. Get that sweep this afternoon against Cleveland. They play at 1:10. Right-hander Ben Lively going for the Guardians. Dylan Cease going for the Padres. I'll look forward to talking with you again, 9 a.m. on Monday morning. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the John Kentera Show. Bye-bye.